My name is Terry Ellis. I'm an independent audio reviewer from the YouTube channel and website Pursuit of Perfect System. Elite Audio UK have asked me to take a look at two products from the Norwegian high-end hi-fi manufacturer Electrocompaniet's EC Living line. EC Living? Easy Living? I think both are true with the SL2 and L2. The Electrocompaniet TANA SL2 is a wireless all-in-one music streaming DAC, amplifier and mono speaker, and the L2 is designed to work with the SL2 to essentially create a stereo pair of active wireless speakers. But because they are sold separately, I think it's only right to look at the SL2 individually, and then we'll see what we get when we add the L2. The SL2 is Electrocompaniet's second generation of the TANA speaker system, hence the name. And looking at the spec sheet alone, it's difficult to tell the Mark II from the Mark I. However, digging a little deeper, the important differences are what you can't see, such as a brand new speaker design with an improved stiffness metal enclosure. It has a new high-end amplifier, more streaming services options, including being room ready, and it's all controlled via Electrocompaniet's EC Play app that is available on both iOS and Android. While we're talking about streaming services, the SL2 received a firmware update during this review period to extend that even further. There is now support for Tidal Connect, which joins, a fairly comprehensive list of streaming services options that I think will cover most bases. The SL2 is 250mm tall by 180mm wide and deep, or it's this much larger than a large smartphone, or this much larger than a camera, or this much smaller than a competitor product speaker. On top, there are some touch controls that glow and some indicator LEDs hidden into the gloss black surface. At the rear, there is a power connection. Yes, it's a wireless speaker for signal, but you still need to power it via a wire. There are also some wire-based connections too for SP-Diff coaxial and Toslink optical. So you could connect a CD player or other music sources to the SL2, or maybe even your television. There is also a USB connection on the rear. If you have any music stored on USB thumb drives, you can insert them and play that music. And there is a network cable connection if you prefer to use that as opposed to wireless. Price-wise, the TANA SL2 costs £1,439. That is definitely a fair chunk of money for a product of this type, and it probably makes the SL2 one of the more expensive products, again, of this type. But thinking about some of its main competitors, maybe something like the Name Muso Wood Edition, well, that costs more. So the SL2 is definitely not the most expensive. And there is really quite an interesting design difference between a product like the Name Muso and the Electrocompaniet TANA SL2. The Name Muso as a system is, trying to create a stereo sound from a single speaker unit. So it has an array of speaker drivers to try and create, a separated left and a separated right speaker. But as we all really know, to get, a good stereo sound, that left and right speaker source really needs to be separated. The TANA SL2 is more of a traditional speaker in that it has a front-facing tweeter, a front-facing mid-bass driver, and two passive radiator drivers, one on each side, to help the small speaker produce better bass. These drivers are being powered from a 150 watt Class AB amplifier. And we have to think, Electrocompaniet are, famous as a high-end hi-fi manufacturer for their amplifiers. So we can pretty much take it for granted that the amplifier that's in the SL2 and the L2 for that matter is going to be of a very high quality, and I'm sure a lot of audiophiles watching this video will be grateful the fact that it is a Class AB design. But the SL2, as I mentioned, it is a mono speaker. That's definitely something to bear in mind in terms of being different from Other similar products may be sound bars or other speaker systems of this type, like the name Muso that I mentioned. And that is where and why the L2 becomes a very important product to consider. The main control of the SL2 is all done within the Electrocompaniet EC Play app, which is free, and it's a very easy and straightforward process to set the SL2 up. And that process is definitely made easier if you initially connect the SL2 to your router via a network cable. And then you can just use the app to set up the wireless connection, and your SL2 is good to go forever. The rest of the EC Play app is pretty straightforward to use and navigate, and there are not too many options or preferences to worry about. Updating the firmware is easy enough. Connecting to it via Bluetooth is straightforward. Choosing which streaming services you want to use is simple. You may want to enable gapless playback and make a few sound adjustments, and these are all done within the app, within the speaker and outputs menu. And similar to the firmware, just coincidence that Electrocompaniet released an update to the EC Play app during this review period, which added better connectivity for Tidal Connect, and it added extra languages to the app, and it now means that you can use the app in landscape mode within a tablet. Overall, I found the EC Play app just very easy and simple to use. I found it to be very reliable, and I found it, most importantly, easy to just get into the music streaming services and just get music playing. And you can adjust the volume of the SL2 either with the slider within the app, as you probably would expect, or using the volume controls on the side of your phone and tablet. Tidal Connect, similar to Spotify Connect, means that you can just send music straight to the SL2, straight from within the Tidal app or the Spotify app. Again, just simplifying the process. Now, really, this isn't that much different to going into the EC Play app and then from there into the Tidal or Spotify apps. But if you are just very used to, with your kind of brain muscle memory programmed in to just go into the Spotify app and you know your way around it, or Tidal for that matter, well, then you will be grateful for the Connect option, because you literally just select the SL2 as the speaker output, and all the music and volume control and everything just streams straight across. It couldn't get any easier than that. And everything just worked reliably and as I expected it to. But what does the TANA SL2 sound like? Well, it's an interesting one, because I feel like there is only ever so good a mono speaker solution will sound playing back stereo music. And if you follow the instructions from Electrocompaniet and put the SL2 in front of you and sit directly opposite and listen to it, well, then it sounds like a mono speaker playing stereo music, but one with some definite standout characteristics, such as a lot of clean power and a nice clean sound. But I'm not sure how many users of the SL2 will listen to it like that. I feel like probably most users will either have one in a kitchen, or have one in a dining room, or have one in a conservatory, or maybe in a study, and they're probably more likely to just play sound out into the room rather than sit directly opposite the speaker and listen to it. And when you do that, you'll definitely appreciate, again, that it's got a lot of clean power, which means it can play not even necessarily loud, but the sound that it creates and plays will go out and spread into the room very easily, which means you probably don't need to turn it up as loud in order for that to happen. But when you do turn it up loud, when the mood takes you, again, you will appreciate that it's got a nice clean sound, a nice clean sonic delivery. But being honest, it's when you add the L2 to the SL2 that things really start to get a little bit more interesting for sound quality. And the L2 looks like a mirror image of the SL2. In fact, you know what? Spot the difference. Can you tell which is which? And you connect the L2 to the SL2 wirelessly, and you assign which speaker is left and which is right for your left and right stereo pair. And both speakers naturally need their own power sources, but from there they sync to each other wirelessly. So there are no more cable connections linking the two speakers together. And I had absolutely no problems at all for the whole review period with the stability of the connection between the two speakers, and most importantly, how that transpires into sound quality. And as I mentioned before, the SL2 and L2 are sold separately. So the L2 will cost you an additional £1,199, and that makes a total system cost of £2,638. I started listening to the SL2 and L2 with them sat on the desk there behind me in like a traditional desktop stereo speaker fashion. And I was really shocked by the sound quality of them in terms of the stereo image of sound they were creating. They presented music with a solid center image, very nice clarity across the soundstage that was extended out really nicely to the sides of me, to above me, with really nice actually treble detail, obviously music dependent, and they was producing quite a nice bass. Now naturally putting speakers on a desk like this is not going to be ideal for producing bass, but the bass they produced was nice enough, and again I could manage the sound to my liking using the EC Play app. What I really liked and appreciated was just how compact the overall form factor of this pairing of speakers are. I was able to have them on the desk. They took up hardly any space, minimal cable connections, and the whole thing was just very unobtrusive and still very, engaging and enjoyable to listen to for the sound that they were creating. But I think creating good stereo and good hi-fi sound in this office is a very different task to be able to create it in my main hi-fi listening room. And my main hi-fi review listening room is actually quite torturous, usually for smaller speakers. So I was a little bit reluctant to even put the SL2 and L2 in the main listening room. But of course I did anyway. And I'm really glad that I did, because again, they massively surprised me by the kind of sound stage size and scale that they were able to create. Again, they had a really nice and clean overall sound, creating a nice clean overall soundstage from left to right, and again creating some dimension, some 3-dimension to sound, which was really impressive. And the bass that they were able to create and generate and produce in my main listening room really surprised me, actually. That's the area where I felt that they would probably fall short, and they really didn't, actually. That really surprised me and impressed me. I think naturally you could put much bigger speakers in the room and you would get more dynamics, but overall the sound from the SL2 L2 pairing was just nicely balanced. It was just nice and easy to listen to, and again I could tailor it a little bit within the app, maybe pushing a little bit of bass, pushing a little bit of treble, just for a little bit more extended dynamics. If you want more dynamics, especially for bass, well then Electrocompaniet sell a standalone Sierra L1 subwoofer. Naturally adding the subwoofer would give you more bass than what these speakers can create, but even without the subwoofer, they really impressed me. And that is really where I want to finish this review, because I feel like with a product like this, the concept of the Electrocompaniet TANA SL2 L2, the wireless, active, streaming, all-in-one type of speaker system, I definitely think this represents the future of hi-fi systems for the mainstream. Obviously, there'll always be hi-fi crazies like me that want to take things further, but I think for normal people, the idea of having a very discreet, high quality, nice sounding music system that can play loud, and especially one that you can enjoy listening to rather than one that wants to, rip your ears off. And a solution like this, I think, could actually be quite a nice replacement to a traditional sound bar. And I only wish that there was a HDMI ARC or eARC connection with the SL2 just to make that process just that little bit easier. And I think that is the closing thought with a system like this. When you do remove the shackles of hi-fi component boxes, hi-fi component racks, all the cabling and other bits and pieces, well then it does make it much easier to fit a speaker system into a room from a decor point of view. You can put these speakers pretty much anywhere that you want them to, up on shelves, on wooden furniture, or wherever I suppose best suits the room from a visual point of view. And I think that again will be the appeal of a system like this. But in saying that, as a die-hard audiophile sound quality crazy, these are still speakers. And it's important to remember, if you want the best sound quality from them, then the placement of a speaker within a room is still very important. So if you are interested in any more information about the Electrocompaniet TANA SL2 and L2 speakers, and if you'd like to arrange a demonstration of them for yourself, well then speak to the team over at Elite Audio and they'll be more than happy to assist you with that, and they can help you with any of the other products within the Electrocompaniet range. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe to the Elite Audio UK YouTube channel, or maybe come on over and see me at the Pursuit of Perfect System YouTube channel. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.